Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, questions surrounding Aaron Judge's clutchness as Team USA falls short to Team Venezuela as they take a 3-2 loss in the finals, which is kind of a bummer there because, again, this looks like the Team USA was on their way to take the whole thing after they got that dramatic win against the DR, but again, fall short and pretty much smothered by Venezuela's pitching. But, of course, then things percolating about Aaron Judge, especially here in New York, about him not coming up big in the big moments as he had a miserable game going 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. So we'll kind of look into this thing. Is Judge clutch enough? Can he handle the big moment? All that kind of hoopla nonsense go along with it. And, of course, we'll look at this Yankees as they make it for some final tweaks and tune-ups as they get ready for the opening night next week. Whittling down the roster and a big arm being sent to the minors there, which is going to be no surprise. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast. And there's also the YouTube version of the show. Go to YouTube, search for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and subscribe to the channel there as well. So Aaron Judge, rejoined the Yankees after, again, the team fell short in the finals against Venezuela. Pretty much getting shut down until Bryce Harper hit a dramatic home run in the 8th inning to tie it 2-2. You thought maybe a glimmer that Team USA would come away with the win, but unfortunately fell short 3-2. And, of course, all the focus is on Judge because he's Aaron Judge and he's the big guy, team captain, Captain America, as they've been calling him. Had himself a miserable game. Wasn't any good in the game against DR as well. Struck out in a big spot there with a couple of runners on second, third, and nobody out there. And then, obviously you don't kind of look at that as much because Team USA ended up winning the game. But, again, wasn't really great in that game either there. And, of course, now you combine that and all the lack of postseason success he's probably had with the Yankees, which I think gets overblown a little bit. And I'll get into all these numbers soon. Right away, everyone throwing questions around him. Can he come up in the big in the big moment? Is he like A-Rod? Remember A-Rod the first couple years with the Yankees? It seemed like he wouldn't come through and the fans would get on him. And it seems like Aaron Judge is starting to get a little bit of that treatment as well. And isn't it warranted? Is it accurate? Well, yes and no. At that point, I'll kind of just break it all down. First of all, you look at this guy. He's got 3 MVPs. He's on top of the game. He's probably, whether him or Ohtani, maybe you say Judge is probably the best player in the game right now. And to sort of diminish all that and just say, yeah, but he didn't come through in the postseason. This is really ridiculous. I don't even really almost know where to get started with that. Yes, has he had a ton of postseason success? Not really, but the fact that he's quote-unquote unclutch, I just don't think any player is or is not. He hasn't really been at his best in the postseason, but I don't think that really indicates that he's kind of a postseason failure. If you do look back, he's had some decent moments. Want to just look at this postseason that just passed. Average-wise, he was he hitting home runs left and right? No. He got the one big home run against Varland in Game 3 against Toronto. But other than that, he was batting average, at least especially in the Boston series, was around 500. And he did hit well during the Toronto series. Now, again, they were mostly singles, not really home runs there, so it doesn't really stand out. But the fact that he can't hit in the postseason or he can't hit in the big moment, I just think that's a little bit overblown. Yes, he hasn't come through most of those big spots there, but it's not really indicative because you really can't label someone as not good or not big in those big moments. And we all want to look back to the Yankees of the late 90s and Jeter and Bernie Williams. We have this sort of nostalgia, oh yeah, they came through every time. They always hit the big home run. They actually always didn't. Again, they were good and they got good moments, but it's not like every big moment they always came through like that. So I just think that gets a little overblown a little bit. Again, if you want to look back, Judge has had some moments. You want to look at the 2024 run, the one game they did lose against Cleveland, against Clase. At the time, Clase was probably the best closer in baseball, at least one of the top 2 there. And Judge, gets a dramatic home run, at least to, bring the Yankees in close. And then Giancarlo Stanton ties it up with a home run right after that. They tied the game 3-3. Now, they lost it in extras. Unfortunately, Weaver gave up a game-winning home run. But, that was a clutch home run in the 9th inning. And you want to also look back a couple years, again, I think it was the 2018 series against Boston. The Yankees are down 5-3 against Craig Kimbrell, who, again, at that time was probably one of the top 2 or 3 closers in baseball. The guy's pumping 100 miles per hour. Now, Judge leads off that inning with a home run at Fenway, brings the score to 5-4 there. And unfortunately, after that, Stanton strikes out, whiffs, and then wherever the Yankees, after that, nothing happened. The Yankees lose that game 5-4. But again, that was a dramatic home run in the 9th inning, big clutch home run in that spot to bring the team from 5-3 to 5-4. So, hasn't been a ton of the moments, no, but to say that he's just to label him, he can't come through in the big moment and just sign him off and all that, this is kind of ridiculous just for the fact that we see what he does over the course of a baseball season. Again, a playoff series is sometimes 1 game, it's 4 games, it's 3 games. You really can't put a label on someone just, hey, you're not good that week. And then it could just be a little bit of a luck of the draw there. So I think that's a little bit overblown. And if you want to go up and down the box score of that game, a lot of guys took offers. Schwarber was like 0 for 4. Judge was 0 for 4. I mean, just look up and down. They only had 3 hits combined. All those great players, all the great talent on Team USA, and in that final game against Venezuela, and they just had 3 hits. So they were all bad. Cal Raleigh did nothing. I mean, he was bad. And again, even before that home run by Bryce Harper, he wasn't doing anything special either. And all the games leading up to that there. So I can't think you just put that all on Judge. But of course, he's the big guy, and he's got the MVPs, and he plays for the Yankees. So he's going to get the target, which is all fair. Whatever, that's just, it comes with the territory, I guess, there. But I just don't think you can really put that on him, and I just think it's a little too overblown. And then when you go back just a little before that, the comments he made saying how the World Baseball Classic atmosphere was like bigger than the World Series. What is he supposed to say? He's there, you're in there, right there. You got the crowd with you. You want to pump the game up. You want to hype it up. What are you supposed to say? Say, well, this is nice, but this is not as good as if I win the World Series with the Yankees. Okay, would that be the perfect answer? Yeah, but he's going to say that in the moment. I mean, that really doesn't mean anything. And to his fairness, he probably hasn't experienced a real. I know he's got the one World Series run with the Yankees in 2024, but you look at that situation, by the time they got back to New York, they were down 2-0. They could have always come back, but I think pretty much everyone was reserved to the fact that the Yankees were probably going to lose that series. So, whatever juice or whatever fans were in that crowd there, probably wouldn't have been as if it was a little different if, maybe if Game 1 was in New York and the Yankees were the home team to start the series off, or things were flipped different and you had a Game 6 or Game 7 at Yankee Stadium. Or even if they went to Dodger Stadium, if the Yankees would made a bit of a comeback and took that to a Game 7 somehow, I think he would experience a much different fan atmosphere than these WBC games, which even though they're kind of exhibition games, the fans are in there. They're all coming in, they're all dressed up, and look, they look more excitable or into it than when you go to your typical Thursday night game in August against, Yankees versus Tampa. Yeah, the WBC crowd, people are going to be more into the game than the games at Yankee Stadium where fans aren't in their seats until the 3rd or 4th inning and they're on their phones looking, scrolling and stuff and making bets on FanDuel and DraftKings and all that stuff and not really paying attention to the game. Yeah, maybe the WBC fans are a little bit more into the games than that there, but I just don't give much into that statement. We all know Aaron Judge, how he is. He wants to win, whether he's with Team USA or the Yankees. And to make that comment there, I think that whole thing gets overblown. And I think that was kind of the precursor of him getting trashed a little bit after, again, he had a miserable game in that final game going, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. And, yeah, again, there's been a lot of spots he has struck out in big spots. Yeah, that is true, too. But to put a label that he can't win, he's not going to be clutch, and he's going to be like Dan Marino or something, I just don't think that's fair because you also got to be on a great team as well to be in those positions enough to win. Take the home run hit off of All, and that was great. It tied the score 3-3. The Yankees would win that game. That was the only game they won in the Toronto series. But the team itself wasn't good enough to do anything with that. And you went to a Game 4. Cam Schlittler gave you a decent start. The Yankees were down 2-1, and that's really all they did in that game. All you had was the Ryan McMahon home run, and I think they lost whatever it was 3-1 or 4-1 like that, and they kind of all went out with a whimper. So, the rest of the team also has to be good to kind of put him in those positions for good things to happen. Or if he does have a great moment, someone else got to do something else in extra innings to help them win the game. So it wasn't always Derek Jeter. It wasn't always Paul O'Neill. It always wasn't Strawberry or Cecil Fielder. Yeah, they might have a big home run and big spot there, but also someone else needed to do something big as well in that game to get them over the hump into the next series, into the World Series there. So just Judge really hasn't been on great teams. He's been on some good teams that made the playoffs there, but he really hasn't been on great teams. And I don't know what else Judge could have done the postseason that just passed that could have made any difference. You can't expect the guy to tee off and have 5 home runs in a series. And I know that's what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did to us on the flip side. But if you look at his home runs as well, a little bit different the situation. A lot of those were first, second innings. The Yankees were just laying fastballs in there. It wasn't like they gave a clutch home run to Guerrero in the 8th or 9th inning there. I mean, again, most of those games were all blowouts. The only one that was tight a little bit was the Game 4 because you got a good start from Cam Schlittler. But other than that, Yankee pitching was just garbage. Let's just put it what it is, at least the starting pitching. I mean, you had Game 1, Max Fried gets blasted there. You didn't have a chance. Now, I know there was a big spot early on. Judge had a bases-loaded situation against Kevin Gausman. Worked the count to 3-2 there, and yeah, uncharacteristically swung at a terrible pitch outside the zone there. But he had 2 strikes also. You got to protect the zone as well. So did he go outside the zone a little too much on that swing? Yes, but at the same time, too, 3-2, you got to protect anything kind of close. You kind of have to wail at it and just maybe hope to foul it off at best. Unfortunately, in that case, he whiffed there. But other than that, where else were the Yankees going to go? Game 2, they start Luis Gil, they yank him early after 2 home runs, and then they throw Will Warren out there to the Wolves just to take one for the team. He gets completely shellacked. The Yankees get waxed in the first 2 games. All right, now they take Game 3 at the stadium. Same thing, calls for Dome. Gives up like a first-inning home run to Vlad Guerrero Jr. there. His elbow at that point, as we all know, was shot. This is why he's not going to start the season. He had to be yanked out by the 3rd inning. Yankees were in a 6-1 hole. So again, the Yankees starting pitching was as bad, just in that Toronto series. So I don't know what you're going to put on Aaron Judge that could have made anything different with that. So all those little circumstances just, come into play. And you want to go back to the COVID season 2020 against Tampa Bay there. Like, all right, Game 1, the Yankees win. You get a good start by Garrett Cole. And then they pull that nonsense in Game 2 with putting Deivi Garcia in there and then taking him out and putting Jay Happ, or maybe flip. It's like, if you have good starting pitching, you're not pulling any of that nonsense. And then Game 3 or 4, throwing Jordan Montgomery out there. It's like the Yankees just haven't had a good line of good starting pitching in these playoff series. And even when we got some good regular seasons as a Severino there, again, whatever reason, he was not able to carry that into the postseason there. So again, a lot of the emphasis gets put on Judge there. But you got to be on a good team and a great team as well to be put in a lot of those spots to do some good things. And Judge hasn't been in enough of those good spots to really come through. So I just think that tag gets put on him a little unfairly. Again, he's getting a bit of the A-Rod treatment because obviously with A-Rod, comes in with the big contract, all the hoopla and all the accolades and the all-star appearances and MVPs. And of course, it took him a while to really settle down. And then finally in 2009, he teed off and carried the Yankees to the World Series. And I think at some point, Judge is going to have one of those postseasons. I don't know when it's going to be. Hopefully it's this year, but at some point they'll click it for Judge. And potentially look at the starting rotation now. Maybe this is finally the starting rotation he gets with Garrett Cole, Fried. At some point, Rodon will be back very soon. We know what Cam Schlittler could do. And again, the Yankees have a number of good options for 5. We'll see whether it's Luis Gil, Warren, or someone else. But again, this could be Judge's really best starting rotation he has to maybe do some special things in October. But the rest of the team also has to be good there to put him in those spots to do something good. He only may get one chance, normally gets 1 or 2 chances per postseason, and if he doesn't come through, he's a bum, he stinks, he can't handle it. But it's he's only got 1 or 2 shots to do something special in a big spot there. So you kind of need the rest of the team to be excellent as well. And that's why we were spoiled with the late 90s Yankees, because they were put in a lot of good moments, but they also had the good pitching to put them in those good moments. And you were able to win a Game 4 or Game 5. You had a good starting pitcher the next game to do something with that and carried on and move on to the next round there. So this Judge really hasn't been on those great teams to really make all that sort of possible. And kind of broke down his numbers here, and then we'll have a little fun with it. Now, I looked at his postseason. In 8 years, he's been to 17 different postseason series. So it's been a total of 65 games. Now, in those 65 games, he's hit .236, which, okay, that's not good. It's not completely atrocious, but you're going to be facing really good pitching in the postseason. So you're not going to not too many guys going to be having astronomical batting averages there. So, is it a little paltry to a degree? Yeah, but also number 2, it's Aaron Judge. He's a big guy. They're afraid of him. They're going to pitch him tighter and different than they were Joe Schmo. Not only is the pitching better in the postseason, but they're going to pitch Aaron Judge specifically. They're not going to let him beat them many times there. So he's not going to get a ton to hit when when those opportunities come up. So you kind of have to keep that in mind as well there. But .236 batting average, 58 hits. So 58 hits in 65 games. I mean, that's a little under a hit per game. Okay, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not super great, but it's also okay. It's not something atrocious there. 17 home runs, 41 RBIs in the 65 games. I think that's all right. On-base percentage of .346. Now, mind you, that his regular season career average on-base percentage is .413. So, as I said before, again, you're going to face better pitching in the postseason, and then his OPS in the postseason is .822, which for a normal player, that's great. Now, Judge, because he's Judge, his regular season average OPS is 1.028, but again, that's kind of normal because you're going to face better quality pitching and tougher pitching in bigger spots there. Collectively, if you look at that in 65 games, 58 hits, that's not bad. Now, are there specific at-bats that maybe didn't come through? Okay, you could kind of look at that, but to say there's absolutely a nothing, is an absolute atrocious, he's a nothing, and all that stuff, it's just not warranted with the numbers. And if you want to go one step further, 65 games, obviously that's not a full baseball season, but if you want to multiply 65 times 2.5, so you want to take out your calculators, multiply 65 games by 2.5, that gets you 162.5. So that gets you a 162 game season. And if you want to multiply all the numbers I just mentioned, if he stayed on that pace, what would he have done in a normal regular season? Well, it's really not that bad. Now, we can't do the batting average because you just don't know how that would be, but look at hits. 174 hits. Now, is that good or not? Well, this past regular season, 2025, where he won an MVP, he had 179 hits. So hit-wise, he's kind of on pace, in the postseason, what he would do in a regular season. So 174 versus 179. So that's pretty much almost identical. 42 home runs in the 162 games. So you give me a baseball player that hits 42 home runs in 162 games, I think I'd call that a pretty good, darn good baseball player. 102 RBIs. So his line would be batting average, we can't tell, but 174 hits, 42 home runs, 102 RBIs. That's a really good baseball season. So if you take what he does in the postseason, you kind of equate that to that quality of play in a regular season, you have a really good season. So to say that he's a complete bust and bum in the postseason, the numbers aren't there. And if you want to do a little comparisons with some of these specific numbers, you take the 236 batting average. Okay, let's look at Bernie Williams, just to pull a name out of the hat. 275. Okay, so that's 40 points higher, but Bernie's not hitting like 500. He's not hitting 600 in the postseason. And yeah, he's hit better career over, a little bit better than Aaron Judge. He's also a different type of hitter. He does have the power, but he's more of a slap hitter as well. And so, but that's not astronomically better out of this world. Now, Jeter, which hard to compare there, but if you just want the numbers, Jeter's career postseason batting average is 308. But Jeter is exceptional. I mean, we all know it's Derek Jeter there, but just go to show. But he's also a different type of hitter again. He's more of a slap hitter, more of a singles hitter. He's not up there like Judge. He's just looking to hit like a 500-foot home run there. So, yeah, probably lends to believe that he's going to have a high batting average. Plus, he's a quicker player. You could probably get a lot of dribblers and bloopers and bleeders in the infield that can beat him out at first base. Judge is not that type of player. And also, you want to look at the home runs with Bernie. Postseason resume is kind of up there with Mickey Mantle. 22 home runs, but he's also played in a lot more postseasons than Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge is only behind with 17, so that's 5 less home runs. So at a certain point between now and Judge retires, he's going to have more postseason home runs than Bernie Williams. But would you ever call Bernie Williams a bum or a bust in postseason? No. He just haven't had that great moment where you can look back as like, wow, game 6, blah, blah, blah. He hit that big home run and the Yankees won the World Series. He just hasn't had that moment yet. At some point, I think it will come along. He just hasn't had that moment. And if you want us to look back, his comments saying it was bigger than the World Series. Well, not the case there, but overall, though, this was a smash hit for Major League Baseball. So for the 47 total games, that's the in-person games there, they drew a record crowd of 1,619,839. That's up 24% increase compared to the last go-around in 2023. So the attendance numbers have been up. The TV ratings have been up there. So this thing was a smashing success overall. Unfortunately, if you're Team USA or if you're a USA fan, I'll tell you didn't get the ending you wanted there. But this has been a smash hit for Major League Baseball. And now Aaron Judge, of course, rejoins the Yankees as they begin their mission for the 2026 season. And getting to the Yankees, making another cut to the roster. That's sending Carlos Lagrange to the minor camp. No surprise there. I mean, I think, he wasn't going to be in competition for the starting 5. You knew that. And you're not going to waste his talent on just being a bullpen guy. And look, he was impressive this spring. If you want to look at his numbers there, 3 games. One of them was a start. Threw a total of 9 and 2/3 innings. 9 strikeouts there. So you're averaging a strikeout per inning. 3 walks. Did surrender an earned run with a home run. But you look at the ERA, very nice. Under 1. 0.93. But if you want to look back at his season, when he did AA, Somerset last year. And this is in AA. 7-6. With a 3.22 ERA. That was in 16 games, and that's 15 of those were starts there. So it looked great this spring, but did he have a tremendous year last year in the minors where you would consider giving him a promotion to the major league level this year? No. So even though he had a good spring, I wasn't shocked at all that he'd be re-signed to the minors, and we'll just see where he is down the road. Before the spring started, he was ranked by Baseball America as a 93rd prospect in baseball there. So he dazzled everyone with the 102 miles per hour, and really what I was more impressed with was his breaking ball stuff. Really good control with the curveball slider there, getting strikes with that. So again, if he can mix that up, other batters would have no chance because you don't know if he's coming in with the 102. And if he does, he could change speeds. And even if he drops a breaking ball at 90, just to have like a 12-mile difference in your velocity, that makes a big difference. You get a lot of swing and misses. Max Fried got his final tune-up as he's ready to take the ball on opening day or opening night, opening afternoon, I guess, if you're in the San Francisco time. And kind of covered that on the YouTube episode. That will be Wednesday the 25th. The Yankees at the Giants. and only on Netflix. So if you're not a Netflix subscriber, maybe find a friend that has Netflix, and or you have to stick with Dave Sims and Susie Waldman on the WFAN broadcast. So that's the episode. Aaron Judge getting a bit of a label on him, and it is what it is. But again, I just think it's unfair, and I kind of went through some of the numbers there. He's not a total no-show in the postseason. He is there. It just hasn't had that one really big moment where the Yankees were able to do something big in the World Series, or maybe that big moment to get to a World Series, like a Chris Chambliss home run or something like that. He hasn't had that moment yet, but to say he's a total empty, a total nothing in the postseason, that's just not accurate. Catch you next time.